Hello everyone, and welcome to the 32nd episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. And you guys are probably asking yourself, what is this? What happened? Because I don't remember talking about a 30-second guest. Oh yeah, this is a surprise episode of the Little Thespian Podcast for you guys because we were on a bit of a hiatus for a bit, but here we are back with an amazing guest that I have only just met. Her name is Aly Slominski. She's an amazing actress, singer, dancer, producer, director, writer. She is so many amazing things, and we have her on Little Thespian Podcast for you guys here today. It's going to be a blast. So without further ado, let's hop in to the 32nd episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 32nd episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. On today's episode, we have an amazing guest, of which this is our first time meeting, and it's so good that we have this platform to do it on the Little Thespian Podcast, episode 32. And my guest today is Aly Slominski. So how are you, Aly?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. And it's so lovely to have a whole new guest on here, and a surprise guest, because I did like a back-to-back type thing for this episode. So I had Emilio on, and then now I have you on. And no one knows this is coming out. So it's amazing, guys.
Ooh,
yeah, it's
secret,
a surprise
top
episode.
Secret.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we're going to have a blast today. But before I get into talking about theater, acting, and the amazing stuff that we talk about on the podcast, I just want to let everyone know, please wear a mask, wash your hands, and don't forget to socially distance. Unfortunately, we are still dealing with this crazy pandemic over a year, and guys, it's crazy. But we are going to get out of this soon. We were just talking before we started recording that theaters are opening back up, guys, which is a beautiful thing for our industry. And there's going to be many more things opening up soon, hopefully, as we move into the spring and then the summer. But yeah, so guys, please do your part to stop the spread of COVID-19. Whether you're here in Montreal or wherever you are, we are still dealing with this pandemic. So do your part. So let's hop into the first question, which is always the same question on here. How exactly did you get into the arts?
Oh, that's such a good question. And also unrelated, I just turned on like speaker view because I had it in gallery before, and I just noticed the little thespian sign in the back right behind you.
Yeah,
I love it.
We're making a sign, but as for right now, we're just using paper, guys.
It's great. It gets the job done. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, to answer your question, I think I've always had a more creative side. I grew up in a very sports oriented family, and I was just like the odd one out because I just wanted to sit alone in my room and read or like doodle in a notebook. But I think what got me into theater was when my mom took me to see Mamma Mia on Broadway. And I don't know, something just clicked in me when I saw that. And it's kind of embarrassing because it's like Mamma Mia, but it is what it is.
Mamma Mia is an amazing musical, though. You know what I mean? It's such
a
a
lot of
different
fun.
musical.
Yeah.
It's a different musical, but in a good way. But yeah, that's lovely. And I've talked to a lot of guests that they have that one show or they have
Mhm.
that one experience that just catapult
Yeah.
a love for this amazing business that has so many different outlets. You know what I mean? Like you have musicals, you have
Yeah.
dance, you have so many different outlets in theater. But you studied, now tell me if I'm wrong here, but you studied in Concordia, right?
I did. Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of ask you also about that because I studied at John Abbott and it's definitely different. So
Yeah.
I wanted to get your outlook. How is it different? How does it change? Or how did you kind of um, learn how to act at Concordia's theater department?
Yeah. So I think my path was a little unconventional because I really only started acting after Concordia. So, and that's because I was in a program that was kind of like a create your own program kind of thing. So you can pick and choose from various departments. So if you wanted to take an acting class, you could take an acting class and also take a design class. And that was really appealing to me because I wasn't sure if I wanted to pursue something more like playwriting or if I wanted to do acting or maybe even directing. But in the end, because of internal department problems, like not having enough staff, I didn't really get to do all that I wanted to do. And one of those things was acting. I think I took two acting classes in my 3 years at Concordia. And they were good, like they were great classes, and I learned a lot, but I definitely think the bulk of my acting training came after. So yeah.
I mean, that's good too, though. I mean, just to get out into the world of acting, you know what I mean,
Yeah,
and take multiple workshops and just one
for
acting
sure.
class, you know what I mean, can I know I've been talking on the podcast about like a lot of my acting teacher just said that the more it's an instrument, right? You just have to continue to do it. So any
For sure.
workshop and whatnot. I know with a lot of my audience, it's younger. It's a younger demographic. So
Mm,
guys, if you can, there are so many workshops that they even do on Zoom now. I'm in one as we
yeah,
speak. You know what I mean? It's good to always keep up the instrument because if you don't
you
use
have
it,
to.
you lose it, right?
That's exactly it. Like anything else, if you don't practice a language, then you're going to lose some of it. And it's the same with acting. It's not like riding a bike because once you learn how to ride a bike, that's it. You never have to learn again. But with acting, you got to keep it up.
And it's true. It's different over. Don't get me wrong. It's different over Zoom. It's different with film.
Yeah.
It's different with theater. But that's the thing. It's so different in every job you do that the more you
Yeah.
learn, the easier it becomes, if that makes any more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I know I've done film, TV, and now also theater, right? So it's definitely different in every aspect because
Oh yeah.
TV, we need to get that shot done. Film, okay, well, we're almost there. We have 1 day to shoot it.
Yeah.
Um, theater, you have 6 weeks. You know what I mean? It's definitely different.
It's so different. And the more you train, like the better prepared you'll be to be thrown in any kind of situation. But yeah, theater, you definitely have a lot more time with the character to like work with the cast. But if you're doing like 1 day on a TV set or on a film set, it's like you meet your scene partner 10 minutes before you do the scene. and you have to like have that chemistry and like have that, you know, relationship with someone you just met. It's tough, but you know, it does get easier. Like you said, the more you train.
And it's not to like scare anyone off either. Like
No.
completely like I'm saying it just from the heart, guys, that it is, if you want to work towards it, it's definitely a business that you can do that. It's all about passion. It's a passion business is what I like to call it. Because if you're not passionate about it, you're not going to continue it. It's kind of that simple, especially when it comes to money, guys. It's not the most lucrative. So if you're going in it for that, hate to break it to you, probably shouldn't.
Wrong business.
But I also wanted to ask you, and it's a great segue. Do you have any words of wisdom for people that may want to go into theater or acting and are scared to?
Oh, when they're scared to, that's really interesting. Because I feel like often when I get that, or not when I get that question, but when that question gets asked, it's always like you're like preaching to the choir. But yeah, to people who are scared to do it, I would say it is a scary thing. I don't want to say just don't be scared and do it, because it can be very daunting, especially, you know, it's so uncertain, you know, and I would say just take classes, train, and like be consistent with your training and work on it every day, read plays, you know, like there's more that you can do than just be in a class. You can watch movies, study actors that you really like. And I think that makes it a lot less scary because you're putting in the work. So yeah,
put in the work, guys. I mean, especially now too, with COVID and whatnot. I know it's a stressful time. It has been for the last year, guys. But now is also the perfect time to kind of just focus on that one thing. You know what I mean? And hone that craft. And especially with something like acting, all you need to do is just pick up a couple plays. You know what I mean? Read them. Pick up or try and find some bootlegs if you're into musicals, because there's always 150 different bootlegs that you can find.
Tutorials.
Slime tutorials. But yeah, and I mean, again, workshops, guys, there are so many out there that somehow they do it over Zoom, and I envy them, because the amount that they have to do on Zoom and be on this for that long, especially with schooling now, I can only imagine how daunting it must be. But if you guys are focusing on acting and film and whatnot, this is a perfect time to kind of dive into it fully if you can. So I also wanted to ask, you have also done a couple of again, tell me if I'm wrong here. You have also played a couple of princesses in the Montreal Princess Party. I want to talk a bit about how that became a thing, because everyone, I feel, loves to dress up, especially in this business. So I had to talk about it because, and especially a lot of these have their own musicals and whatnot now too, like Cinderella, Belle. You've beautiful Cinderella right behind. But yeah, so you've played a couple of different princesses. So can you talk a bit about Montreal Princess Party and how that came to be?
Yeah, so it is, you know, it's always such a delight when I get, you know, like as an actor or like any type of artist, we always work these kinds of survival jobs that are jobs that just kind of keep us afloat in between gigs. And so like when I had a friend who told me that her entertainment company was hiring, and I didn't really know what that meant. I was like, yeah, I guess I'm an entertainer. And so she sent me the link, and it was for Montreal Princess Party. And I was so excited. I sent them like a message on Facebook, and then I went through the audition process and the interview and stuff. And yeah, I just got the job, and I've loved it ever since. Like, I'm just very grateful that I get to work a survival job that's also very in line with my skill set and what I spent lots of money to study. So yeah, it's great.
I mean, especially now with like how big Disney is.
Yeah.
And I've been told too that like they need a sign so many things when you work at Disney, like you are now Snow White. You are officially Snow White. And like you get knighted and whatnot. It's
Whoa.
some crazy stuff.
Hardcore.
Um like it's different. It's kind of cool, but like then like low key, like I'm not Matthew, I'm now, I'm a whole different
Prince
human
Charming,
being.
yeah.
Um yeah. So I mean, it's it's crazy that like you also get to become a
Yeah.
princess whenever you get called on. That's
It
amazing. And I feel like a lot of young girls that are watching this would love to like hear about that
yeah.
and like know that if you are thinking of becoming an actor or not even like I mean you do it in Halloween and
Yeah.
whatnot, people dress up right not and now oh my god I can be a princess, you know
Sure.
what I mean? That's it's an
It's
incredible thing.
also, just another way to keep training, I guess, in a way, because I do these parties for kids. And so there's like no script that I'm working with, and you kind of just have to know the character. You have to know Cinderella really well so that you can improv as Cinderella for like an hour with kids who are going to bombard you with every single question. They're going to be like, "What's your shoe size, Cinderella?" Or like, "What's your favorite color?" Or, "Where do you get your hair cut?" Like, some of these questions are insane. And you're like, "Oh my God, I don't know." Like, the royal barber cuts my hair. You just gotta like be quick on your feet.
But yeah, it must be amazing for improv now
Yeah.
thinking about that. Yeah, I mean just you have to really be on your toes, and I guess that
Yeah.
is a nice analogy when talking about Cinderella.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean it's definitely something that is unique, and I wanted to bring it to the forefront because I mean a lot of people just think our job is okay, well you get on stage or you get in front of a camera
Yeah.
and you act.
Hmm.
Here I mean it allows you to really put forward so many different things that we get to do
Yeah.
that's amazing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because like that was something I don't think I learned in school. And it was something I only learned after, like once I got into the real world, where like there are so many avenues for performers. Like, it's not just like you said on a stage or in front of a camera. Like, it's children's entertainment. It's You can teach, you can hold, like, I know an actor who has public speaking workshops that he gives to business people, like people that work in offices, because that's a skill that we have that lots of people don't, I guess, that they haven't developed.
And that's the thing too, like a lot of people again just think acting is okay, I'm playing a character, but it's also with voice, with
Yeah.
movement, with so many different, you know what I mean? Like it's just having something like the Montreal princess parties happening is now you have become a character that almost everyone knows Disney now. And if you don't, I mean, where have you been? But everyone
Yeah.
kind of knows Disney, right? So you become these fairy tale characters that many people don't think that's even an avenue that we get to do as often as just getting in front of a camera and
Yeah.
acting.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, I mean, no, actually, being a princess is very glamorous, but, like there are less glamorous ways to be a performer. And I think that's kind of what gets lost, because people, acting is so glamorized as being like the star on a stage or the star in a film, but it's the little things too. It's the waiters in movies or TV shows that bring you your food. It can be a lot of things. Or commercials too. It's commercials too.
Commercials, I mean, unfortunately haven't got a commercial yet. If
Neither.
any people are looking for an actor, I'm here. But that's the thing, because commercials are so like the minute they go on TV, it's great. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's true. I mean, with commercials, unfortunately, um, you kind of you have that one gig, and then you wait for however long, right,
Yeah,
for the next one. But
for
I think that's
sure.
with like everything in acting, right? You kind of have to wait for the next job, and I'm so
Yeah.
glad that stuff starts to open up now. Like now we are actually because I know a lot of actors and actresses and directors and producers are just waiting, are trying to wait and
Yeah,
see. And now it's good that stuff's opening back up.
for sure. Yeah, that's I'm very glad. I'm especially glad about theater because I've been doing some film in quarantine or, like on sets with all the COVID safety and stuff, but like last year, 2020 was supposed to be like my return to theater. Not that anyone cares if I return or not, but I had been out of theater for like 2 years at that point. And then the pandemic happened, so I didn't get my return to the stage, but I'm hoping that comes soon.
I'm sure it will. And that's
Yeah.
the thing, like with everything that's kind of happened, I was going to be in Mary Poppins coming back at
Oh
John
my
Abbott,
God.
and I would have loved to be a part of it, but then
Yeah.
everything kind of folded over with COVID. But that's the thing
Were
with
you cast yet? Did you have your
yeah,
role?
we
Who
were
were
right.
you?
I was Admiral Boom.
Oh my God, that's so much
Yeah.
fun.
So I was about to do that, and then unfortunately everything closed right
Yeah.
before dress rehearsal and
Oh my
QBQ.
God.
So literally right at the end before we were to put it
So
up.
you'd done all that work and they were like,
Yep.
sorry, everyone. No, that sucks.
Yeah. And
Oh,
it's just it's one of those things that like you're only probably there's going to be the show that didn't happen. You know what I mean? And there's
yeah,
so many people that kind of are in that boat. Like not even just here in
for
Montreal,
sure.
but like everywhere. But
Yeah.
it's good in a way that we still kind of had that experience. You know what I mean? Because it's still something to go on your resume. It's still something to, really, I did this. You know what I mean? And a
Yeah.
lot of people, I think, kind of need that right now to just be like, okay, stuff is coming back. Great. Stuff is coming. It seems like there hasn't been anything
Yeah.
that's happened. And now something's coming. And I mean, it's good to have a bit of that light at the end of the tunnel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because for a long time, it was just like, okay, another month, the theaters are closed still. There's nothing happening. I guess we'll do another Zoom play. And yeah, now with theaters opening, it's like, okay, now the ball's rolling. Now we have the opportunity, even if it's just for like 10 people, physically distanced in the audience, it's something.
And that's the thing too. Like I know with um, colleges, universities, I don't know what they're doing quite yet. I know at Abbott they're
Yeah.
trying to do it live stream, which
Oh,
hopefully
interesting.
that works. I'm sure it will. They'll find a
Yeah.
way.
I
But
think even Broadway did that at some point.
I mean, why not? Like if we
Yeah.
have to use technology, we might as well, you know what I mean? Do what we
Yeah.
can. And I'm hoping very soon that Broadway can open because I know a lot of people are missing that, not just the
Mhm.
actors and everyone behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
my God, New York is probably so dead out there, and I don't know, it like I never thought Broadway to be no lights, no glamour, just a street. I never
Yeah.
thought that. You know what I mean?
I remember like I guess a year ago-ish when Broadway first closed down and there were all those photos flooding social media of like Times Square completely deserted. Like it was so bizarre because that's not what you think of when you think New York City or any big city for that matter. I think I even remember like footage of like downtown near the Eden Center that was just some guy on his tricycle and that was it. No one else. I mean, good for that one guy on his tricycle, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like we really went on pause for like
Yeah.
several months.
Mm-hmm.
And when that day hit, when March 12th, 13th hit, the world just stopped.
It
And
is
I
insane.
mean, it's so crazy now looking back and thinking, wow, like this thing attacked that hard around the world. And you know what I mean? And like still in Montreal, we're dealing with it as much
Yeah.
as we can, right? We're still in the red zone, unfortunately, with the biggest population in Quebec. But that's the thing, right? We need to kind of focus on the little wins, and theater
Yeah.
coming back is definitely a
Yeah.
win. Yeah, I mean, stuff is
Yeah.
coming back, but it's slowly coming back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think that's probably the best way to do it so that people aren't like flooding all these venues all at once, especially since we are still a red zone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do I know? I'm not an expert. I don't know. Why am I giving COVID advice?
But yeah, like I definitely want to talk a bit more about it because it's been one of those things that like I say on the podcast, I'm like, guys, do this. But I never like I never actually say, like, guys, we're still dealing with it. So like, like a passionate talk, you know what I mean? I've never done
Yeah.
that. But it's definitely something to talk about because I mean now it's over a year and we kind of need to have that conversation of what's to come because it's definitely going to be different.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to ask you, coming back into theater, so, or I mean, I guess film. You've done a lot of monologues and like showcases. You posted one, I think, yesterday, if I remember correctly, the monologue slam.
Yeah.
So I want to get your take on self tapes because I know a lot of people don't really know what to do if they're a new upcoming
Ooh,
actor. What do I do with lighting? What do I do with stuff?
okay.
I've done many self tapes, but I could only speak to it so much. So I need another amazing voice to help me out on this. So, how has the
Sure.
experience been doing all sorts of self tapes during this time? And can you give a couple tips and pointers for people?
Yeah. So this is something I definitely feel qualified to talk about. I think so when quarantine happened and all of a sudden, like, casting offices were closed, obviously, and they were requesting more and more self tapes. I really made it a point to learn how to properly make a self tape because before it was just kind of like, okay, I have a big window, I have a blank wall, let's shoot this. And they looked like not good. They looked poopy, not good. So I um so yeah, I have been working for months now to like save up my money to buy like a proper self-tape setup. Um so I have two lights, I have a mic, and I have a blank wall that I can show you. Wow, look at it. It's in all its glory. Yeah, I think that's all you need. And I know it sounds like a lot, but you can get pretty cheap options on Amazon. For me, I think the biggest thing is that you're well lit and that I can see your eyes and that you're not overexposed. Because sometimes, like even times that I've been on the other side of casting where I'm holding the auditions and I receive self tapes, like I think lighting can make or break a self tape. Because if I can't see you, that's all the acting. I don't see you acting at all. Yeah,
It's yeah, and I mean that's the thing. Like I usually use the one behind me,
that's great.
because I mean it's without the
You're a
beautiful,
little thespian.
uh,
You just got to
yeah,
promote it in every self tape.
of course, but yeah, I have a Mount Dog lighting system, or the lights,
Nice.
um, and the mic as well that I'm actually currently using, and yeah, it can get a bit expensive if you're trying to overdo, but usually there's a cheap option to
Yeah,
do it that's simpler, if that makes any more sense.
for sure.
Um, and that's the thing, like if you can't see the acting, then there's no point of a self-tape. You know what I mean?
No.
It's kind of sad to say it that way, but if we can't see you act, how are we supposed to put you into an acting role?
Yeah.
Right.
And especially since self-tapes are, although like I've done some self-tapes for theater, but they're usually for film. And if you can't see the eyes, like for film, that's where all the acting happens. It's in the eyes. So yeah, don't make sure I can see your eyes.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's been weird with COVID because I did a TV pilot, and they're basically like,
Whoa.
okay, well, you have to have the mask on the entire time. Okay, great. So you are really using your eyes for like everything.
Yeah.
Um, but it was definitely like a bit of a weird situation because you can't really use your entire face. You know what I mean?
Wait,
You can.
even when
You
they
have
were
the
rolling, you had a mask on?
it was only for a pilot, so what they would have
Okay.
done is reshot.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
but yeah, it was weird because okay, well, you can hear me because you have the mic right here, right?
Yeah.
But it was weird. It was so weird to have the mask on the entire
Yeah.
time, right? Because you also, with film, you're not usually speaking all that loud unless you
Right.
need to, right? And I'm usually used to theater acting,
Projecting.
projecting, over speaking. And
Yeah.
then here I was kind of trying to speak lower because I'm like, okay, well, the mic's right here, right? And it's like right here. So like they can hear me, right? Like, but then you had the weird thing of having to talk over the mask too. So you kind of had this whole different thing happening.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get your take on like how, like now that you've done theater and film, if you
Mhm.
have any words of wisdom for someone who may want to do film but have just been doing all sorts of theater stuff, because I know there are a
Mhm.
lot of people that start with theater and then jump into film or just do film and then they're like, I need to project. So
Yeah.
we kind of need to yeah, I want to give some clarification for that if you can.
Yeah. I mean, that was my situation as well, where I'd just done theater. So yeah, I was very used to projecting, and I'd done musicals too. So it's like I was very loud when I took my first acting for film class. My teacher was like, "You don't need to scream," and I was like, "Oh my god." But yeah, I would say find a class or find a workshop that's specific for acting on film, because it is like a whole other beast. Because the script analysis might be the same, but in execution it's completely different. And I think the best way to kind of fight those theater habits is to take a workshop and test it out, fail at the workshop and not on set.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like that's the thing too. Like if you do get a film thing, good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great. And I mean, I hope you guys kill it, but reality is also you only have a certain period of time usually at location. And I mean, that's the thing, like with film, it definitely is a whole different beast. And there's so many different classes that people teach for that because everyone kind of that goes into acting usually has seen a
Yeah.
film. I'm hoping. um, but usually sees film and they're like, okay, how do I
Mm-hmm.
do that? And I mean, it definitely is different from theater,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. But some of them are kind of the same
Mm-hmm.
too, in the way of, I mean, you guys still need to do your research on your
Yeah.
character as best as you can, even if it's a TV series and you have one line. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's film's a whole
Yeah.
different beast. And um, yeah, I mean, you've done a couple of things in film, and I want to talk about something that is coming up in a way, obviously. Speak what you can. So, can you talk a bit about Her Face, Her
Yes.
Body, and how it came to be? Because you did screenplay and producing, right? And you also are
Yes.
acting in it. So, how did that come to be? And if you can just talk a bit about that.
So I had no plans to make a film. But, then the pandemic happened, the lockdown happened, and like I had this story that I wanted to write, but I had been putting it off for, whatever reason I decided to put it off. And then in quarantine, I was just like, forget it. I'm going to finish writing it. I'm going to edit it, and then I'm going to put a crew together and film it. And that's what I did. Yeah.
That's great. And I mean, that's inspirational for a lot of people because it just shows you that if you put your mind towards something and you write something and want to do it, you can do it during this time. I know with there's a multitude and everyone's different and everyone has their own different stuff to do. But if you know people and if you have people that you want to talk to and whatnot, this is a perfect time to kind of just bring it into the light and do what you can for it. And especially, I know with film, I've put out stuff on Facebook for people. And that's the thing, right? Like, this is a perfect time now to get that cast going, get the thing that you want to get shot, because everyone's kind of looking for work at this point.
Exactly. Everyone's available.
You know what I mean? Everyone's available. Yeah. And if they're not, it's probably because they're in something else that someone else has already done.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a perfect time to kind of just, if you're a writer, write. And this is a perfect time to write. You know what I mean? There's so many different things happening in the world. Not so good things, but things to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, yeah, if you guys can, now's the time to do it. If you guys have a passion for directing, there are many people that still need directors. I mean, they write it. And
directors are so hard to find. Yeah, we need more directors.
This is a call out to all directors that are watching the show. Please, guys, no, like the amount of directors, like I've written some stuff too. And I mean, I'm going to be producing and directing something
very cool.
After COVID, because with theater and whatnot. I mean, now it's open, so hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like you kind of need to just, do what you can with directing, producing, writing during this time. I mean, you have the time to do it now.
Yeah.
You didn't have the time before because of work. I know some people are still out of work. Now's the time to focus on that other part of work. You know what I mean? And jump into it if you can.
Yeah, for sure. I think not a lot of good has come out of the pandemic. It's been very hard for a lot of people, but I think like having to put on breaks was something I really needed. Because I think before the pandemic, I was working 4 jobs. I was like burnt out and I wasn't, I wasn't doing any of the things that I wanted to do because I was so focused on having to make money and survive essentially. And then the pandemic happened and all of a sudden my work reduced by like, I don't know, 75%. And so all of a sudden I had all this time to write and to sing and to read. And yeah, so, I think, yeah, it's been eye-opening for me that I have to make time for the things that I love because otherwise I won't do it.
Yeah. And I mean, like it's definitely, this pandemic has definitely showed that you need to really also take time for yourself. You know what I mean? And take time for what you need to do, rather than focus on the big picture, kind of focus on the small picture too. And just the stuff that's around you rather than around everywhere. You know what I mean? And that's true. I mean, 4 jobs, it's a lot.
It's too, I think back on that now and I'm like, how did I do that? When did I sleep? When did I shower? Like it's 4 jobs. That's too much. I don't think I'll be going back to that. Like I'll I'll reduce my spending. Because I don't want to go back to that kind of life.
I mean, like I usually have only two. Like I have three technically, but to do four, I mean, yeah, I can only imagine.
And that was 4 on top of auditions. So if you count auditions as work, which it is, that's like 5.
That's nuts.
Too much.
I mean, good for you. I mean, you did it, right?
I did it. That's something I can talk about now, but never again.
But this is the perfect segue to hop into one of our second to last questions. And unfortunately, I could do this all day, but unfortunately, we do need to end it soon. But I want to talk about musicals because I know you love musicals.
I love them. I'm sitting right behind, in front of my Broadway wall.
And I mean, amazing. All of them are amazing. Mamma Mia, Wicked, Chicago, Jekyll and Hyde, and Cinderella. Oh, and Something Rotten on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
All amazing shows. But I want to get your dream role. And I know it's hard. I know it's super hard because I don't even know if I can answer it. I love Phantom. I love Valjean, obviously.
So good.
I'm a tenor.
You're too young for that role, though.
Sorry?
You're too young to play Jean Valjean.
I know, and it's sad. And
maybe Marius.
It could be Marius. I might need to lose a beard. I definitely need to lose a beard. But yeah, I want to get your dream role. And I mean, let's be honest, it might be hard to just get one. So
yeah,
I'll give you like 3, top 3.
Oh my God. I don't even know if I could do that. There's so many fun roles. I think I tend to gravitate towards comedy a lot. So I think anything that Sutton Foster has done, Thoroughly Modern Millie, what's the Drowsy Chaperone one? Yeah. That was good too. But yeah, I'm looking at my wall. I quite liked Heather's. I think Heather Chandler, who, if you haven't seen the show, she's like the mean girl, and she's just so evil. I think that would be very challenging, and I'd like to play that role.
I mean, yeah, both amazing picks. I mean, I would love to play JD. There's so much to it.
So unhinged.
So unhinged, like alarmingly unhinged. Yeah. But that's the thing. I mean, and I believe Concordia or it was McGill. It might have been McGill. They did Heather's. And I went to go see it, and I was amazed.
It was great.
Incredible. And Montreal does some amazing stuff here. Rocky Horror Picture Show every year.
Oh yeah, I can't believe I forgot that. I think I would want to play Riff Raff though. I think I could rock the bald cap. Maybe. We'll see.
We have time, guys. And I mean, the amount of roles we can throw out, because I mean, there are so many different musicals and they continue to just amaze me over in Broadway. Yeah. We're talking about it before. I mean, they even did a concert, I think one night at Broadway or whatnot. I think that's what they called it, that they just sang all the songs from it at Times Square. And it was just, it was so weird, but so lovely.
Oh, yes, they did. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I was like, when did they do that? But I remember that now.
Yeah. It was just so lovely. Seasons of Love. I love Rent. I would love to be in Rent. But that's the thing, guys. There's so many. So if you guys want any suggestions, I mean, I've had a multitude of guests talk about musicals on here because everyone loves singing and dancing.
Yeah, and people who say they don't love musicals, they're lying. They're closeted musical fans. It's how can you not?
And that's the thing. As much as they don't think so, or they watch Lion King, oh yeah, I love that. Oh really? Well, that's a musical.
It's a musical.
You know what I mean? And there's so many new ones now. The Greatest Showman, Disney Plus has so many amazing things. So,
oh yeah, Yeah, we're like seeing a boom in movie musicals. Like In the Heights is coming out this summer, which I'm so excited
West
about.
Side Story.
Yes, we had Cats. No one asked for it, but we got it.
We got it. We didn't need it, but we got it. I mean, I love Cats, and I'm going to see it in March because it's coming to
Oh,
Montreal, Place Cesar.
nice.
But it's one of those things that just need to be theater. It needs to be theater.
Exactly. I was gonna say that I'm sure my grandma, when my grandma had a VHS tape of like an 80s recording of the West End cast of Cats. And it's so bizarre, but it works as a stage play or a stage musical, but on film didn't quite translate.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I had the opportunity at Abbott to play a dog, which is weird. I know. Like out of context, so weird.
Like,
But
yeah,
it's one
what's
of
the
those
context?
things that like it's one of those things that like you do it and you're like, that shouldn't have worked, but it did. And why did it work? Well,
Yeah,
because it was on a theater
on
stage and we
stage.
do some
Yeah,
weird things on stage. But when it comes to film, it's weird to have a human cat
be a
that
cat, like
doesn't
a
work on
humanoid
film.
cat. Yeah,
You know what I mean? But
because
yeah,
I
I mean,
think when people go to the theater, they're expecting to have to suspend quite a bit of belief. But in film, I think we were so accustomed to it representing real life that when we see a humanoid cat, it's like, that's not a cat.
I mean,
And
unless
it's
it's like some
disappointing because everyone
gritty
loves
thing,
cats.
unless it's some like gritty thing, like some Guillermo del Toro, like Shape of Water or something that's a
Right.
lovely film, but like we know that is going to be different, right? When we
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
When it comes to cats, we're like, okay, well, we have Taylor Swift, we have Jennifer Hudson, we have Jason Derulo, guys. It's going to be amazing. What am I watching?
What is this?
Like, this is something I don't
What's
feel
the
like I should be
plot?
watching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, so different. But I'm so glad that we can talk about musicals because I mean, I can do that all day.
I love them.
Talk like there's Jack, like just look at the back. Jekyll and Hyde was a character that I would love to play, but it's like you need to
It's
be up here and then like down here on notes and like
yeah. And that like
crazy.
one song where he like sings a duet with himself. How do you do that? That's good luck to you. I'm very excited to see you play Jekyll and Hyde one day.
Who knows? You guys might see a cover eventually, but it's gonna
Ooh.
take a while for me to get those bass notes because I mean,
Now's
or
the time
sorry,
to do it
baritone
in
notes. Yeah,
quarantine.
yeah. I mean, I saw one actually about that where they shaved half his beard and he kind of did like one for Jekyll, one for Hyde,
Oh my God.
and I'm like,
That's
that's amazing, but also very. I don't want to kind of go out looking like that because
for like
that's
the entire run of the show, you
I
have
think
like
so. Yeah,
half a
he
beard.
had like half like a beard and had like no beard.
That's really funny.
I mean, it
It's,
might look amazing, right? You have
who
two
knows?
completely different personalities, but
The
like
trend now.
imagine outside of the theater being like, "Hi," and we'd be like, "Wait, are you missed something?" You know what I
Like,
mean?
sir, you forgot half your face.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean that's definitely a dream role, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's definitely a clinic on acting
Oh
and
yeah.
singing.
You'll
I
get
mean,
there.
the voice, my god, the voice that you need for some of these shows. We were talking about Phantom when we're talking about Andrew Lloyd Webber.
Yeah.
Christine, what the
Like
hell,
I
right?
forget it. I don't even want to try to play Christine. It's just not gonna happen.
Oh,
Yeah. I think a lot of these shows, like it's so demanding on your voice that you have to have that, stamina to sustain a whole show. Like Jekyll and Hyde, that whole show rides on one guy and like everyone else is supporting.
mm,
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like,
Challenge.
yeah, it's definitely a challenge. Um, but yeah, we can keep talking about musicals all day.
I could go forever, but no one wants to listen to like a 4-hour podcast about us gushing about musicals.
I would love to, but I know that like after an hour, people start to get like, okay, you know what I mean? Okay, well, let me soak in everything. You know what I mean? So unfortunately, this is our last question, but it's a question that I ask all the time before I shine a light on Aly, and then unfortunately, we've got to say goodbye. But the question is, how do you see your future looking after COVID now that stuff's opening back up?
Well, I mean, speaking of musicals, I think because another thing that I've been working on during COVID is really strengthening my voice. I feel like I've done musicals in the past, but I was always I was not ever consistent with my singing. And, like we talked about earlier, consistency is key for being an artist and for like keeping your skills sharp, because if you don't use it, you lose it. So I've really been working on my voice. And I think after COVID, the first opportunity I get to audition for a musical, I'm going to take it, because like I'd really like to be in a professional or semi-professional musical, which is I've never done.
That's the thing. Like I remember I went to like community theaters for theater or for musicals and whatnot, and I would always get a call back after the singing part and like acting part. Then they did dance. Now I'm not like I need to focus on my dancing, even though I'm still focusing on acting and singing and trying to whatnot. But that's it's true. I mean, the singing part of it, usually you either have one that's not so heavy dancing,
Right.
But a lot of singing, or you have all three, acting, singing, dancing.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But that's the thing. Like we do have a lot of stuff here that I feel like a lot more is going to be happening now with musicals and whatnot. Because now with everything coming back, you've had time to kind of try and get rights for certain things.
Oh, yeah.
To kind of jump into getting a whole cast. Maybe you've had time to listen to that musical and you want to do it. But yeah, I mean, like, go for it. I mean, that's the thing with musicals. You kind of just need to take the leap, jump into it. I know I did. I went for Head Over Heels. I went for, what was the other one? Anyway, there was a couple of them that you go for, and that's the thing. You kind of have to wait and see. But there are so many things that I think are going to be happening soon. October is going to be coming up very soon. They're going to be wanting to get people for Rocky Horror. They're going to be wanting to get the show done that they didn't have time to get the show done last year. So everything that was going to happen last year is going to be hitting this year.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, you have young actors that are only starting or finishing up their studies now. So now would be everyone's thinking, oh, well, I don't know what my job entails moving forward. With acting, I mean, it is sad that that's been happening to a lot of people. Don't get me wrong. But with acting, a lot of stuff's going to be happening now.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff, because everything that was going to happen now is going to happen. It's just when, right? But I mean, I cannot wait. It's going to be great, and I can definitely see you in musicals if you have that much passion for it.
The dancing portion always gets me too, though. It's like some girls are like lifting their leg all the way up here, and I'm like, oops, okay, I can't do that.
That's the thing. Like I'm a bigger guy, right? So for me, okay, I'm moving around. I know I can memorize steps. I can do that. But then eventually I'm like, okay, but he just did like the splits. Like how do I do that? I can't do that. Can I do something different? Can I, you know what I mean?
Modification.
Exactly. But like, that's the thing. Like I tend to go for shows that I'm like, okay, well, there's a bit of a dancing component. moving forward, if there is a huge dancing component, maybe not go for the one that's doing like, some crazy jazz steps or
like
some
Chicago
ballet
or something. The ballet.
Exactly.
Yeah, An American in Paris. Yeah, I could do that lead role. I studied ballet when I was 12.
Nope, I can't. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, we kind of have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure.
But I know it's going to be great, and I cannot wait.
Me too.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we do need to go. But before we go, I just always shine a light on my guests, because I mean, everyone needs a bit of a beautiful light to shine their way, especially during this time, which sometimes seems dark. But it's good because we're here on the Little Thespian Podcast. So to shine a light on Aly, now this is great that we've met on this podcast.
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked for years, because it's so connected, so
musicals
quickly.
Do that. They bring people together.
You know what I mean? Theater does that. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I know that your future seems so bright. You're so passionate about it. I can hear it. I can see it. Even with the first time talking to you, I can feel the passion for it, and I know amazing things are coming your way. Just got to keep at it. Just focus on those voice lessons. Make sure that you're hitting all these amazing notes, and I'm sure you're going to be just doing amazing work moving forward, and some amazing musicals. I'm just waiting to see what exactly that will be, but I know it's going to be incredible. Keep up your amazing work, and I cannot wait to see more from you. And hopefully we get to work together very soon.
Yeah, I hope we get to meet in person soon.
Yeah, I know. I mean, like, remember when we could do that? We can just go and like meet human beings, and be close to one another. Was that a thing at any point?
I barely remember that.
You know what I mean? We were talking about Mary Poppins, a cast of like 32 or however many, just being in the same room together.
That's crazy. That seems like it shouldn't happen now.
Right?
Like,
I mean,
sometimes I see people on TV and they're like hugging, and I'm like, whoa, don't do that.
Do you not know there's a virus happening?
Yeah, hello.
But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can meet soon, and hopefully we can, work together very soon, because I mean, I can just feel the passion. And this has been an amazing episode, guys. I really hope you guys have enjoyed it. And we will see you all on the next Little Thespian Podcast. Bye, Aly.
Bye-bye.
Bye. The lights are off. The curtain has fallen. And it's time to say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us on the Little Thespian Podcast. If you have any questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to ask, either down below or on any of our platforms. On the next episode of Little Thespian Podcast, we have a gifted, talented actor, singer, TikToker, and all-around great human being. His name is Oliver Ocampo. I truly cannot believe that we're going to have another amazing guest on episode 33 of Little Thespian Podcast, Oliver Ocampo. You guys are going to have a great time. I'm going to have a great time. And if you guys want to show some more support, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to us here on YouTube for more great times ahead, as we have a bundle of amazing guests coming up. And we have some more amazing content to showcase to you very soon. Thank you all for the amazing support that you guys continue to give us over these last 30 episodes. And thank you, Aly, for being on this episode. It's been great getting to know you, and now I consider you an amazing friend. Thank you all for watching, listening to this episode of the Little Thespian Podcast. A little surprise guest, but such an amazing episode. So inspirational, yet again. Thank you all for over 30 episodes, and we continue to love doing this journey with you all every week. So thank you all for watching. Don't forget to shine bright. This has been your host, Matthew Crandall, telling you guys to always shine bright, even in the darkest of days, as summer is just along the way. Thank you all for watching. This has been Matthew Crandall. Shine bright, everyone. We'll see you all on the next Little Thespian Podcast.